There we go.
Alrighty.
Hey guys, welcome to Coffee with Christy and Crew. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Christy Belt-Grossman, owner of Ops Boss Coaching. And I have one of our coaches, Elizabeth Gilbert, with us, and two of our scholarship winners to the Ops Boss Leader Retreat, Alicia Stokely and Jerica Contos. Thank you guys so much for going outside your comfort zone and being with us. So today we are going to talk about the Ops Boss Leader Retreat. What were our ahas? What are we implementing? What were our favorite parts? And so first, before we do that, I'm going to ask you guys if you would introduce yourselves. If you can hear me and you're on Facebook Live with us now, if you would please drop in the comments. If you were at the retreat, just type in there, I got bossy. And if you were not at the retreat and you're coming next year, type coming next year. If you're listening because you're just curious, type in curious. So we can make sure that we have, you guys can all hear us before we jump into the meat of things. So Jerica, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. My name is Jerica Contos. I'm the Director of Operations of Premier Properties RI in Lincoln, Rhode Island. And we are expecting to close just under 90 units this year.
Awesome. And Alicia?
So my name is Alicia Stokely. I'm the Operations Manager for Barrett Realty Advantage outside in Hamilton, Ontario. For those of you who don't know where that is, it's about 45 minutes outside of Toronto. And we serve the Hamilton and Burlington area. So, and our team is expected to close 30 units for the year.
Fantastic. And Elizabeth?
Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm with Ron Henderson and Associates in Kansas City, and it looks like we're going to be at 125 by the end of the year.
Awesome. And for those of you who are looking for Stephanie, she couldn't join us today, but she will jump on at some point, I'm sure, and share her ahas in the comments. So let's start out with two of you guys, Jerica and Alicia. This was your first year at Ops Boss Leader Retreat. If you had only one or two sentences to describe the retreat, what would you say?
So I would definitely say that it's a weekend of truth, growth, support, and action. Not only are you focusing on your business, but who you need to be to reach your goals and how to become that person.
I love that. Say that again, truth, growth.
Okay, so it's a weekend of truth, growth, support, and action. Not only will you focus on business, but who you need to be to reach your goals and how to become that person.
I love that. I'm going to come back and dig into that with you. Jerica, how would you describe it, your experience in 1 to 2 sentences?
I described it as a jolt of electricity. I came back so ready to amplify myself as a person, amplify myself as a leader, amplify our business. And I really think that we're going to see a lot of results from the things that I learned at the retreat. So it was super exciting.
Awesome. Thanks. You have such a way with words. I love that.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
I wrote down, I said it's an event where ops people come together to connect, cry, laugh, share, and grow, and be encouraged in everything ops related.
I love that. Yeah, it was fun. I really it's fun to be in a room with people who get it, who do what you do, right? Yeah, I totally love that about it too. Not that I feel like I'm talking about myself, but that's what the genesis of the event was me feeling like I was so alone in my career and wanting to get with other people and like minds and have high-minded conversations. So okay, so let's just start aerially with big aha or big takeaway, and then we'll kind of go down the nitty-gritty and share ahas throughout the weekend. So who wants to jump in with your biggest aha or takeaway?
Definitely the structure of how to build a system. So Stephanie talked about this at really great length, and I feel like our whole job is creating systems, but they don't teach us how to build them. And I am a big one where I start at this brainstorm level, and then we organize, and then we execute, and then we realize that it's not quite what the vision was. So we sort of get stuck in this loop. So for anybody watching, I'm just going to quickly go over what the 5 steps of building a system are, just because I think that they're so important. So number 1, so you've got to be very, very the main purpose of your system is. Ask a lot of questions. Remember, benefit and purpose are two different things. And the biggest one in that is debate, evaluate, question until you have a purpose. The second one is vision. So what is your vision for the system from start to finish? All the little details, all the nitty gritty. What do you want it to look like at the end of the day when it's your big, beautiful thing that you've created?
Yeah, I love that one. What's the vision? I like to ask myself, like, how do I know I won? How do we know we won with this system at the end?
The third one is brainstorm. So guys, anybody on this call today, do not start there. Like, don't do it. You will get caught yourself and it will not be clear and your vision won't be executed properly. Stephanie told us that if you've got a wicked problem, tell us first how to make toast. So I highly recommend watching this on YouTube. And it's really just about breaking a system into small, really, really, really small sections that you can do step by step by step by step.
Love that. And I'll post the link to the Making Toast video in the comments.
Number 4 is organize. So what's the how? So owners, order of operations, categories, and time. I don't know if Christy or Stephanie were willing to share her big onboarding spreadsheet, but it's really incredible that how she breaks out that organizational system. And it's all about do items, know items, and feel items. And then your number 5 is organization. Yeah, organization.
Yes. Next steps.
That's it. Sorry, next steps. My notes are a little bit. Yeah. Number 5 is next steps. So what are you going to do next to improve your system? So always have a drop dead live date, and determine your very next action. And what do we do when we hit a roadblock?
I love that. And what I loved is that on Sunday that you shared that you realized that one of your systems was totally not achieving its purpose.
Not at all.
Back and started with purpose and started from the beginning, because we often do that backwards.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was sometimes when you realize what's wrong, you realize that the system is broken because you didn't have a clear vision and it didn't have a clear purpose. And sometimes you just have to scrap it and be okay with the fact that it wasn't right the first time and fail forward and realize that you.
Love that. I'm getting background noise from somebody. I'm not sure who it is. It's Liz. Can you hear us? But we can't hear you.
Oh, I muted you in case you were background noise. It was me.
Oh, there we go.
I'm in the office, so sorry.
Introduce yourself real quickly, and then we'll keep talking with ahas.
Sure. I'm Liz Brunswick, and I work for Keller Williams Johnson City for the Heather Glatz team. I am the operations manager for our team, and we are based in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is a little small corner of East Tennessee.
Awesome. And Liz was our 3rd scholarship winner. So I invited all our scholarship winners to come on and share what they learned, because I know that they're going to put it all into action. So Elizabeth, what was your biggest aha or takeaway from the weekend?
Mine was actually, it was pretty overarching. And it's something that I'm already taking back into our team and working with them on this. So I said the foundation of everything you build has to start with a purpose or a why. Why are we building a team? What's the purpose of this meeting or this system? Why should our agents come into the office every day? And the why or the purpose needs to be emotional. And that was something that was not necessarily said at the retreat, and yet that was my creation that I put 2 and 2 together, is that when, every single speaker that got up and said something emotional. And the only reason that I feel like I am inspired and excited to bring it back to my team is because they transferred that passion or that big why of why they're here and why they do what they do. And I realized that our team was lacking that in most things. We were just ever asking that question. So that was my huge overarching takeaway, is that it doesn't matter what I'm implementing or what I'm asking our agents to do, if I don't get to the why or the purpose first and make that truly inspiring, emotional, something that they feel, then it will never happen. There's lackluster results. There's not follow through on anything that doesn't have that. So
we've got to make the connection between here and here.
Exactly.
Head to heart. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah, that really came through. It was amazing to me how many of the speakers had really big whys. Yeah. And not only had really big whys, but that they took action on those big whys. Yeah. Like to see the boys town in the Philippines that is behind my out desk, or to see the wells being built by Satum Properties. Yes. And feeding the homeless, and just all the different whys was pretty powerful. Jerica, what would you say was a big aha for you?
So I think my biggest aha was actually quite personal. So I think that I felt leaving just like the most unbelievable gratitude for everything that I already have, which was really cool. Like I was like, wow, Christy is such a star, and I get access to her every single week. Like that is the coolest thing ever. And then I was also like,
not a paid commercial, I promise.
But then also even just coming back to my team, like, you know, I'm like, hey, you guys, I have 68 things that I want to implement for the next year. And, you know, I'm just so grateful for the team that I'm on, because both Mark and Sarah were like, great, bring it on, you know, and they both really saw it as like a really huge investment in our whole team. I feel like it's like transferred so nicely for our whole team. We have confidence of like, you know, I came in with, these are the questions that we have. These are the fail forwards that we want to catch. And I feel like we all gained confidence through the things that I learned. And I think that has been really awesome to kind of sit down and discuss together and say like, yep, we would have made that mistake. And yep, we would have made that mistake. And these are how we're going to kind of avoid them.
I love that. That's fantastic. I remember last year getting a little bit of feedback of the gratitude thing also of, I came back and realized we don't have some of these struggles and we don't have some of these challenges, and our communication is awesome and our systems are awesome. And I think that's a great outcome too. To just have affirmation, I'm on the right path and we're doing the right things.
For sure. And we're by no means perfect, but but made us the things that we're doing well. And like, we're like, woohoo, we have some like superpowers to celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. We don't celebrate enough. I agree with you. Liz, what would you say was kind of your overall aha or takeaway? Is she muted?
No, she is muted. Let me unmute her.
Sorry, I was like, I would say, I keep doing that because there's a meeting right next door and our walls are not very thick here. But anyways, I would say that the biggest thing for me was that I really learned that our team needs to really build on some strategy. We have some great sales techniques and we have some great people on our team, but we really don't have any strategies that we have in place. And you know, just seeing the onboarding systems that people use, or just the operations manuals that were talked about. And those are some of the things that I know Heather brought me on and I do in my spare time. But just really time blocking, you know, I think someone said their one thing was for that 2 hours every day, they worked on that operations manual or that onboarding system. And I think really getting those in place are what is going to help our team. So having a strategy and having, you know, things that we're going to repeat and do every single day that every single person is going to do is what we need, really, I think.
I love that.
You know what's so surprising?
Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Is that we don't often know what's possible until we hear other people say it. And so we have no clue as to what it could be. All we know is what we've seen and what we've created. So when you get in a room with people who are doing things so differently and you have these high-minded conversations, that's where the magic happens. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm taking that back to my team. Like you kind of get the chills down your spine type of thing, because you realize how great it could be, or you realize how great you actually are and how you can plus it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I think the collaboration is so important. Like you can see, oh, this is a new possible for me, and I can put my twist on it to 10x it to the next level and then share it back so the next person does the same thing.
Yep.
That's the beauty of this. And we're going to talk about that at the end, about how do we keep that momentum going. So I want to start back into, so let's talk about the overall format for anyone who's watching this back later. So Friday we come in, we did social, we had a little bit of live music, a little bit of wine, got to know each other. Saturday, we had speakers and we had a keynote address. We had masterminds. Did I miss anything? We had a panel. And then Sunday, we had speakers and breakout sessions for personal growth. So let's kind of maybe go back and like maybe go day by day. So Friday, and we don't have to go around, anybody who wants to answer. Was there any highlights, anything that jumped out at you on Friday? How did you feel walking into this unknown situation? Those of you who hadn't been there before, like what was it like?
I was so nervous. I wanted to throw up. Like, you walk into something like that knowing very, very few people. I knew maybe one person. I knew Christy in that room, and that was it. I was coming from a position when I walked into that room of lack. Like I wasn't in the right, I didn't have enough confidence in myself or what I was doing. I was really nervous that I wasn't going to be smart enough, or I wasn't going to have enough to contribute, and like that I just wasn't enough. And that was my biggest aha coming into Saturday, which I'll talk about later, another one of them. But I was just nervous. Like I didn't think that anybody would want to hear what I had to say. And that is so beyond untrue, because everybody, we learned that we stand where our feet are. And I didn't learn that until later in the weekend, but it really, really applied to Friday night, because it was okay where you are, because it's not about where you are. It's about who you're willing to become to get to where you are. So it was fun and it was relaxing. And I got in there and I realized that we were all in the same position. We were all a little nervous. We're all a little bit like, you know what I mean? Like we're all not 100% sure.
Hey, I just want to tell you, I was too. Jerica, what did you feel like coming in on Friday night? What was Friday night like?
I actually felt really good coming into Friday night. I was like, just really excited to kind of establish some of those connections before Saturday. And so it was nice because I had connected with a few people through the Facebook group, through email, through a couple of other channels before I got there, which I think made it a lot easier to have access to those things. So I actually already had my dinner plan set up. So when I actually met the person face to face, I'm like, oh, you're the person I'm having dinner with. So like that was kind of, I think that made it much different. If I didn't have that going in, I think I would have probably been a lot more nervous. But I think it was really helpful to have access to all that stuff before it started.
I love that. And so I would encourage all of you guys who are listening, if you're going to family reunion, if you're going to whatever your national event at your company, any kind of overnight training, to be purposeful like Jerica was, and to make those plans ahead of time, because it takes away, if you're an introvert like me, takes away that anxiety. So I love that. Liz, anything you want to add about Friday, or Elizabeth?
I would just say that I was a little nervous too, and I'm an outgoing person. Like I really have no trouble. I mean, I would consider myself an extrovert, and I have no problem. But I mean, when you go into a room and you don't really know anybody, it's the same thing. But I said to myself, like at one point I was kind of hanging out by the food. And I have to say that your husband was a very good bartender, because he like got me to open up and start talking. And then I was kind of hanging out by the food, and I was like, okay, you can hang out by the food and stuff your face all night, or you can walk over to a table and just introduce yourself. And so that's what I did. And I think sometimes we have to, we get that negative self-talk in our head sometimes, but I turned it around and was like, all right, eat fruit, meet some people. So
love it.
I will say that there is something to be said for planning, and that was me stepping outside of my comfort zone and not making plans. I went into Friday, Joellen had reached out to me, and so we made plans to go out, but I was like, surely we can find a couple other people. And that was my intent. If there was anybody that didn't have plans, I was like, well, I'm going to go find those people and invite them to join us. And if there's not, there's not. But I really wanted to actually wing it, because that was a little more uncomfortable than actually making plans. And it turned out great. We found two people that I had never met before. We had a great dinner, and it worked out great. And I knew it would work out great. So that was kind of the key to it. So if you're returning next year, I almost want to say, make plans or don't make plans. It's going to work out no matter what.
I like that. I like that you got outside your comfort zone right away. You just jumped right in. So Saturday was business like a boss. And my memory is I meant to pull up the list and I didn't pull it up, but we had crafting culture like a boss. You guys tell me, what what things jumped out at you about Saturday? Like, what was your favorite speaker? What was your aha? Anything you've implemented so far? I'll let you guys, we'll just kind of go general there.
Well, so I start the day like a boss. I went out and bought this for my team.
Oh, awesome.
So that was something that I implemented, and I gave it to my team leader and our buyer's agent. I bought the 5-minute journal for myself. So I really took the book recommendations and things. And I would just have to say that, you know, starting the day out like that, and really, like, I'm looking at my notes over here too, so that's why you see my eyes moving. But when we started out listing what we're grateful for, and then like why we were there, I think that really brought my attention to focus. Like, it made me think, okay, this is why I'm here. What am I here to gain from this? And I would have to say that one of the big things I took away from that whole day was really, is I would like to get involved in some type of coaching program. And because I don't always feel like I have that there, I was able to ask any question that I wanted to ask, because there were so many resources, and I don't always feel like I have that here, you know, so.
Love that. Well, meet Elizabeth Gilbert right above me. She coaches our group coaching program. We can talk about that after. I want to keep to the ahas, but that's good. I love to start the day right too. I think, you know, when you're putting the program together, it kind of felt like a little bit of a throwaway topic, like start the day right. But I thought Kristen did a really good job of reminding us that we need to start every day right, not just at the retreat. So I love that you got the book. What else jumped out at you guys about Saturday?
So go ahead.
Go ahead, Jerica.
So I was going to say, I loved Sheena Sadam and talking about her vision and her giving and all that kind of stuff. I actually shared all my notes with the whole team, and I was like, you guys, during this session, I was like bawling. And they're like, is everyone like that there? And I think that it just like totally was a huge, it was a really big difference for me to be like, wow, my team really, that's what we want. And we're not there yet. And she gave us some really tangible things to kind of implement to get there. Things like involving our clients, doing things like Selfless Saturday, or, you know, making sure that we're sharing things on social media that we're doing, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. We went out and volunteered this morning, and posted about it on social media. And it just was like, it was just such a good energy and good reminder of really what our team wants to accomplish.
I love that. I liked how she took it to the next level. Like, it wasn't just, we're going to do 6 service events during the year and put them on social media. It's a daily way of life for the people on her team. And I loved the part about inviting their clients to serve on the board at the local, at their charities, or inviting them to do much more than just give money or show up at an event.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole thing that she said of like, people want to give, but they just don't know how. I think that resonated with us a lot, of like, we need to make it easier for people in our circle to be able to give, because we were already slightly on that track, but I don't think we had a lot of clarity or vision of like how much we can really accomplish with that, other than like a service day here or there, or some sort of food drive. Like, I think she gave us like a maximum super amplified version of what we can be. And I think that really amped me up, and I think it's helping kind of amp our team up for that stuff too.
So for anybody who's listening, because I know we have a lot of people listening who are actually there as well, what we didn't do, because we didn't have time, is really connect the dots on the social media side. She's an incredible social media person. She has a class that she teaches. So if you want to reach out to her to have her come to your office to teach, I know she'd love to hear from you. What other ahas from Saturday or speakers did we like?
So basics aren't basics, they're foundational. And Adelina Rotar actually spoke about this. And it really, really blends into me for systems. We have systems like a corporation, we love like a family, and we're a Super Bowl championship winning team. It is you are the leader of the mundane, you are the captain of your ship. You are the one who makes structure out of the boring stuff. And the boring stuff is what is going to lay the groundwork for you to build a castle.
Oh, I love it. Building castles. That sounds good.
I think, yeah, Adelina was my favorite speaker too.
Yeah.
because I was advancing her slides, I didn't get a chance to take notes, which is totally fine. That's why I'm waiting for the slides to come back out.
I promise.
I know. And I already have had discussions with my Megan about some of the stuff that she said about being a Super Bowl team and, you know, acting more like a team instead of just individual players wanting to up their stats. And so that her whole, like, where she came from, how big she thinks is incredible. And that's something that I'm very excited to bring to our team. One of the things she said was that if you don't bring passion to it and enthusiasm, you're not, again, it goes back to the emotion, right? You're not going to get people to take action. And when she said that, I realized, you know what, that is me. Like, I have enough passion and enthusiasm for the systems myself, yet I haven't been conveying that to my other team members. They don't understand the why or the passion to some of the things that we're doing and some of the things that I'm asking them to do. And so I'm going to have to get outside my comfort zone and help build that enthusiasm on the rest of our team.
I love that, because this was the Ops Boss Leader Retreat. It wasn't just an admin event or an ops event. It was for people who are or want to be leaders. I loved one of the things that she said about the DISC, that she said, I use DISC to coach myself on how to lead my people to their goals. So I loved, like, leadership starts with us. And I hear so many times everybody's saying, oh, I read DISC so I can go, like, oh, well, it's just because I'm detail oriented. It's just because I'm high C, or like whatever. I can be a jerk because I'm a high D. Oh, well, I'm just a high D. But she starts with herself. Like, how can I learn about my people so I can help them to their goals? Like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was something that I implemented.
Go ahead, Liz.
I was just gonna say, like, right away when I got back, like, I searched, because I know Heather has had us all do the DISC, and but they were nowhere in, like, specific places. So I went through her email and found everybody's DISC, put them in folders on, like, a Google Drive, read through them all, because that was something. So that really resonated with me too, like, learning how to talk to people and you know, just like getting points across by knowing myself. And then even having them take other things like love languages. Like, who would have thought to have, like, your like, I've done love languages with my husband, but, you know, to, like, does Marta like words of affirmation, or does she, like, you know, does she want me to rub her back on it? No, I mean, you know what I mean? But, like, right? Exactly. So, but I really liked what she had to say. And one other thing she said too was replacing your ego with skills. Because I think sometimes, like, I love our agents, but sometimes they let their ego get in the way. And, you know, we need to always be, like, honing in on our skills and personal development and things like that, and learning what we can.
Sometimes we let our egos get in the way too.
Yeah, that's true.
I always like to start with self. What else on Saturday? Anybody have anything they want to add? So Saturday we also had, let's see, so we had Creating Culture Like a Boss, we had Office of the Future, we had How to Build a System, we had Living Life Without Limits, we had 15-year-old Henry come in and play his ukulele. Can't remember what else.
Henry makes me cry every time that boy sings. Like, his subject matter is so deep that I don't know what the connection pulls on my heartstrings, but, like, I'm not, like, sobbing. It's just, like, tears are, like, leaking out of my eyes, right? his delivery, he's so smart for being 15. Just wise, right?
Very wise beyond his age. I think he said something about, I won't quote it right. I obviously didn't take great notes, but we will be sharing the PowerPoint with the attendees at some point.
Stephanie took great notes, and I know she's going to share them. So
good. Okay, so we'll be sending those out with our newsletter. We'll actually share Stephanie's notes with everybody, so that's awesome. Yeah. But he said something about you have to do fun things to give you the fuel to reach your goals.
Yeah, to do the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I totally resonate with, because I forget to have fun. like I am all serious all the time. Like I'll crack a joke here and there, but even during our team meetings for our team, I forget that this was supposed to be fun. It's not all just work. So for him to say that, I'm like, where is my fun? And I'm like, I'm gonna get out my coloring books. I need to get out my crayons. I need to start doing,
You wild and crazy girl.
right? All the fun things. He gotta start somewhere. Start small.
It says we're going to hold Elizabeth accountable for having fun.
You can join our team, Elizabeth. Humor is one of our core values.
Yeah, everyone else on my team is fantastic at having fun, and I just like soak up their fun and live kind of vicariously. And yet I recognize I need to have my own.
I love that. That's a good aha. That's a great aha. We also had John Franklin Stevens, my friend Frank, come and give us a keynote on living life without limits. Were there any takeaways from that?
So I think, going into this, I would have expected everything to be ops boss related or, real estate related. And hearing him speak just put things on a totally different perspective for me. And he was very, very inspirational, and just seeing all the things that he has done, and just saying like, that's not my path, obviously. Like I had, but what he has done for his path, like we can all do that for our own paths. Not letting just even the little things hold us back. So I think it was just like, I've only lived in this town for 3 years, and that's something that I've always kind of had in the back. Like, well, all these agents have grew up here. All these people, they know everybody, but that doesn't matter. Like listening to him made me realize that doesn't matter. That's just in my own head, so.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anything, Frank?
People think that they know you better than you do. Just be the best person you can be. Stop building walls to keep people out. And it has made me cry more than once. And I think that it was the foundation of everything that he talked about, which is just being the best you and never set your own limits, and never ever let anybody else tell you that you can't, because you 1,000,000% can.
Yeah, I loved it. It was fun for me to have him come speak, because I see him in everyday life and what he's like. Maybe can one of you, for people who are watching who they're like, who's John Franklin Stevens? I've never heard of him. Maybe one of you guys can give us a little highlight of who he is, what he talked about.
So he has Down syndrome, and his what he when he was speaking, he says, a lot of people have a preconceived notion about if you have Down syndrome, what you're capable of. They have certain facial features that are common. They have certain IQ limitations that are common. And yet they're very uncommon people in that they bring so much joy to their families. He talked about doing studies where people who have someone with Down syndrome in their family are typically more joyous and have more happiness in their lives because of that person, because they are such optimists, and always looking on the bright side of things, which, a lot of us, that's kind of some of our weaknesses, is that we don't have a whole lot of optimism. So, and the things that he's been able to accomplish with Down syndrome as his strength. So he's spoken to, members of Congress, he's spoken to the British Parliament, he's met presidents, he's met Katy Perry, I think is his favorite.
Yeah.
Right? And his message, that same message, is that why are we limiting people who don't tend to be quote unquote normal? Like, and if you think about the word normal, that's really a word that's tossed around that is almost meaningless. Why are we just trying to be normal? Let's not be normal. Let's live our life limitlessly, and make the most of it, no matter where we are, what we have, what we do.
Yeah, I love that.
Brilliant. Yeah.
We also had a panel, I just remembered, in the morning, Saturday morning, which was The Struggle is Real, Fail Forward Like a Boss,
Yeah.
with Amanda Dahl and Stephanie Brackett. Were there any takeaways from that for you guys?
I think just the takeaways kind of this unspoken, I think the quote that everyone keeps passing around is nothing changes unless the unsaid gets said. And I think that kind of, my team was actually talking about that at our retreat before we left. So it was really nice. I think something actually that panel really kind of drove home for me is actually that fact that Adelina put out, which is like, you have to apply a story to a fact for it will be like remembered 22 more times, or forgive my lack of statistics on that one. But I think that both Stephanie and Amanda did a really amazing job kind of putting a story to that quote to really drive it home for everybody. So like Stephanie's story of like the two different kind of cultures on the team of like, don't interrupt me, send me an email, versus interrupt me, why are you sending me an email? And kind of merging those two cultures. And then with Amanda, just kind of getting, being really open with her agent, and really saying, and her partner, and being like, I need a break, and I need to slow down, and not just saying I'm fine. And really just being able to be open and be okay with not being okay, and letting other people know that you're not okay.
Yeah, I love that, because I think Elizabeth would probably echo this. We hear it in coaching all the time. The conversations, the unsaid gets said in coaching, but when you say it in coaching, then you have the accountability around actually going back and saying the unsaid.
True.
Who did we lose?
Alicia.
Last Alicia. It must be the Canadian connection.
I think so.
Then we also had Lindsay Soprani did Recruit Like a Boss.
Mm-hmm.
Any takeaways from recruiting like a boss?
I showed the wow card to my mega, and he's like, go make those.
For those who weren't at the retreat, what was the wow card?
So the wow card, I thought I had it on my desk. It says wow in big letters across the top, and underneath it says, thank you so much for your service. You were kind, servant-hearted. Yeah. Yes. What does it say, Liz, on that line underneath?
I'm like, it just says you were courteous, responsive, efficient, and talented. I have multiple amazing positions available for someone like you. And then it tells them to call her.
Yeah.
That way, it kind of puts the ball in their court, and,
Yeah.
So I ordered them as well. So
awesome. Yes. So it appreciates the person that you're interacting with. And, how often do they actually get appreciation like that? So much so that you want to be in business with them. And so, my Meg and I were talking about it, and he's like, what, that's actually fascinating. He's like, I can see someone at work, take this and go, whatever, and throw it in a drawer. But then 2 or 3 months later, when something happens at work and they're not happy, and they pull that card back out and go, I'm going to call her. That's where he's like, I can see it working that way. Absolutely.
I thought it was such a great way, especially for ops people, to kind of quietly recruit in a less, it just feels easier.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Loved it.
Okay, let's see. Did we hit everything from Saturday? Oh, we got a sneak peek into Stephanie's onboarding system also. What did you guys think about that?
I'm intimidated. I'm like, okay, so that's what it could be. And what did she say? 130 tasks?
Yeah, I think it was 132 tasks.
Yeah. No, I'm sure those are broken down into like the simplest of things, so that everything gets hit. And I'm so excited to build that out. Yeah.
I loved her idea about creating wow moments for the new employee or the new salesperson on the team as they're going through their onboarding process.
Yep.
That was a great concept.
I mean, I would like her to just maybe sell that. Can she just sell that?
That was her one thing. How long I asked her how long? I don't remember what she said. Did she
said a year, didn't she?
I think it was 2 hours a day for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Success is sequential, not simultaneous, right?
Right.
One thing at a time.
Yep.
Okay, I think Anything interesting about Daniel Ramsey, Office of the Future, virtual assistants? I know we got so much information all in one day.
Yeah. The fact that so many people are working remotely, even, you know, the Office of the Future, what percentage is going to be working remotely? He said it was a big
50%
number.
by the year 2027.
There you go. That's a big number.
Yeah.
So if we're already headed that way, let's get ahead of the curve and start recruiting the best people to our teams. You know, that's one thing that I'm looking at. Instead of adding more people to my team, I'm looking to do some remote support for the people who are already here. Because I know I could use an assistant, my transaction coordinator could use an assistant to help us with the things that can be done remotely, absolutely. And it's a lower cost to us.
Yeah, I love that. Well, now you know who to reach out to.
Absolutely.
I want to look back when I published the slides. I was fascinated by the, I can't remember what he called it. It was like the efficiency, how to measure efficiency. It was a labor statistic.
Labor efficiency ratio, I think is what
Yes.
he called it. Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting way to measure how efficient our systems are and how efficient our people are. So I want to go back and spend some time with that. Anything else from Saturday before we move to Sunday?
I think also the masterminds were really valuable too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was at the end of the day, so I feel like my mind was like, it was funny, in the moment, I was like, I'm not absorbing anything from this. Like, I was just kind of like, this is not, like, I was kind of thinking in my head, like, how am I gonna, like, what kind of feedback should I be giving about what time these are? Like, should they be in the morning? Should they be at a different time? But then when I reviewed my notes, I was like, wait a second. I got a ton of valuable information from the mastermind. Specifically, you know, one of the things we're going to be working on is our database in 2020. And I was feeling so uninspired before I left. I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to start. I don't know, you know, I just was feeling really lackluster about it. But I walked away with a solid, like, I mean, at least 25 things that I can do to revamp our marketing that's going to set us apart. And it's stuff that's already been tested by other teams, which is really awesome. I think that was the best part about it.
I love that.
With the masterminds, I also went to the database, like the database 30, like the touch one. And the biggest thing I got is we're spending money on people we shouldn't be spending money on. So we have a budget for something that in reality, other teams are saying like, no, like we've done that. It's not effective use of our dollar. And it's coming out in our ROI as well as other ones. And I'm just glad that something I already thought was reestablished by other ops managers and other people in our team. And I also have coffee set up for an awesome system to create community events. And I'm really excited about it because I was very overwhelmed with how I was going to plan something of that magnitude because I've never done it before. And I walked away and I'm feeling really confident about it now.
Oh, I love that. Good. I want you to come back and share that in the group after you execute it.
Somebody in the group posted about Stephanie, how long it took Stephanie to put that onboarding together. It was 2 hours a day for 90 days.
Oh, for 90 days.
Oh, 90.
That's much better than a year.
Yeah.
And the mastermind that I went to was my Rainmaker is getting out of production or is out of production. And I thought that was a really, so my Rainmaker technically isn't really out of production or, but she had some health issues. So she sort of stepped that back for the last year. And that's really where I came on board, was to kind of back her up and help her in any way that I can, because she was doing it all herself. Well, I now think that she has me, like she realizes what an asset it is to have someone, which is great for me. But so we've just been talking a lot about where she wants to see the team go. And it was very helpful because I think I got a lot of great information from people who have a lot of systems that are in place and have worked really hard on those systems. But then sitting down in those smaller groups and being able to talk to people made me also realize, like, oh, they're kind of a mess like me too. Like, so, I mean, and not that, but like there are things that I need to figure out, like other people need to figure out. So it was able to have I'd say one of the biggest things which I stood up and said was like, Heather still manages our whole budget and our P&L and everything herself. And I don't even look at that. Like, I just make a list of the checks I write, and she looks at, and she does whatever she does with it. And someone just saying, like, someone else needs to see that besides just her, so how to stay on budget. It's really important. And I was like, oh yeah, that does make sense, and just, it was like a one-on-one conversation. So, because if she is going to get out of production, someone else is going to have to know what that is.
Yeah, I always tell people when I teach my Be a Boss class that you have all these extra titles you get besides director of operations and all that. And one of them is director of dollars. So we need to know, we're in business to make as much money for our Rainmaker as possible so that everyone on the team grows. So
Right.
I love that you took that from that. Okay, Saturday. So Saturday we wrapped up Business Like a Boss. You guys probably all went out and masterminded and slept soundly. I know some people went down to Washington, D.C., and I'm super excited. I don't know if any of you guys did. I don't think you did, but I saw lots of awesome pictures. So there's so much you can learn when you come here about leadership, about what not to do, as well as what to do by going to Washington, D.C. And then Sunday, we switched it up. And Sunday was Leaders Nurture Mind, Body, Soul, and Spirit. So we had Sarah Reynolds, who leads the #1 woman-owned team in Keller Williams, talk about creating an abundant life, live like a boss. Then we did a journaling with visual art activity with Jean Tate. And then we had a choice of 2 breakout sessions. One was Jean Sweeney, Practices for Living in the Moment, and one was Emily Hemmingson with Self-Care Habits. So let's first talk about Sarah Reynolds, Create an Abundant Life. Any ahas out of that?
Yeah, all the ahas out of that. Yeah, I thought that session was really, I thought she really nailed down a lot of stuff for us. And I think probably the most exciting part is for me was, she talked a lot about being a mom and that balance and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have kids, but my Rainmaker has 3 under 7 and my transaction coordinator has 2-year-old twins. And so I was like, wow, I get to implement so much of this for them. Like I was taking furious notes to be like, okay, how can I help them the next time that they are feeling kind of overwhelmed?
She had great tips for that, I thought, how to integrate.
She really did. And I think it was really kind of awesome to be like, okay, great. Like, this is how I can better support my team in this aspect. So I thought that was really awesome. And then I also immediately went home and calculated, well, I already had my net worth calculated, but I renegotiated my student loans instantly because I was like, I got to ramp up this progress over here.
Wow, good. So tell us what she said. That's awesome. Tell us so people watching, what did she tell us to do?
Yeah, so she was basically saying, you should be measuring your net worth every single year, kind of eliminate all of the debt that you have. I wish I had my specific notes next to me. How you can, by doing that stuff, you're really creating self-care to be able to live the life that you want to live. And then I think some of the best tips about kind of integrating your work and your family life was, I think one of the things she said was also setting goals for each bucket, but then also integrating them. So she gave the example of I knew I was speaking today, so I went home and I said to my kids, hey, do you want to listen to me practice my talk for tomorrow? And so I think kind of that. And then the other thing that I think was really big that a lot of people would really like to hear is be transparent about your life at home with the people at work. So be really transparent of it's important to me to be home by this time so that I can do X, Y, and Z with my kids, and make sure that everybody kind of knows that so that you can work together to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I like that you like to share your goals with everybody because other people will help you reach your goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Her talk about net worth inspired me to ask my financial planner to come talk to my team at our team advance, because I know my net worth. I have I have investments, I have savings, I have all of this stuff lined out. And it's only because I've been working with this financial planner for the last 10 years to make all of that happen. And, one of my goals was the next car that I buy, I want to pay cash. And so we've already got all that set up. It's, I have money coming directly out of my account into an account for that. And I want my team to have big goals like that too, to know their net worth and to make a plan And I'm like, okay, well, what the easiest way to make that happen is to get some accountability around it. So if I bring in a financial planner who can crunch numbers with them and make their lives better, that makes my team more valuable to the members of it. And if I can help them achieve their financial goals, why would they ever want to leave? So that rang true for me.
Yeah, I love that. I have a small group of COO and business owners that I meet with once a year. And we're meeting in 10 days, and I emailed them all and said, we're all going to share our net worth. Be prepared. Because
Nice.
I liked what she said about the accountability of having your tribe, who doesn't have to be your set of best friends, but it was interesting when I invited her to speak. She's like, I've never spoken on this before, but I'm so glad that you asked me, because it's going to help hold me accountable to meeting my net worth goals and really being conscious about that. I also loved that she literally messaged me on Facebook as she was walking out of the room and said, I'm so sorry, I just wanted to tell you why I was leaving, but it's my mom's birthday and she really wanted all the kids to go to church with her, so we're meeting her at church. And I was like, you go, girl, because she had just said to us that we have to say no to anything that does not match our goals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, she's practicing what she preaches. So that was awesome. Any other ahas you guys had from Sarah?
There's ideal and then there's the real deal. Life doesn't stand still. There is no balance. Embrace change and growth and embrace the chaos. So I think I'm always fighting for this balance, because like being a mom and being an ops boss and what that looks like when both of them are full-time plus jobs. So that's okay. Just roll with it and just know that it's all what you want. It's all in the path of your goals, as long as you say no to anything that isn't that. And make sure that you are, if one's a little much here, like you just
Counterbalance.
You'll figure it out. You just gotta, it's like a teeter-totter. And as long as you keep teetering it back and forth, you're okay.
Yep. Cool. And then we did journaling with visual art with Jean Tate, which I was wishing we had more time. And then I kind of said to myself, you know what, this is going to be a good Friday afternoon. I try to take a little bit of time on Friday afternoons for kind of just thinking time. This was a great activity for me to bring what's in my subconscious forward. So we, somebody maybe can one of you guys explain, like, what were we doing?
Yeah, so we all got these journals, which were just completely blank. And we had magazines on the table. There were stickers, there were marker, colored pencils, depending on where you were, and glue sticks and scissors. So the instructions, we started off with an I am sheet. And it had phrases on there like, I am passionate, I am wholehearted, I am worthy, very positive things. And there must have been a list of 100, 200?
Probably, front and back.
Front and back, full. And that exercise sort of did a little subconscious work, right? Of putting thoughts in your head about yourself. And then that was the night before. And then so Sunday morning, when we did this exercise, we just cut out things from magazines that resonated with us, like pretty pictures, words that made sense to you, that kind of stuff. And it was interesting. I just to show you. So mine says savor your morning, because I tend to like get in the shower, go to the gym, get in the shower, get breakfast, get out the door, and I don't take time to think or journal. Like the miracle morning, I do none of that. Well, I exercise, which is part of it, but that's about it. And so that savor your morning stood out to me. So it was just stuff like that we and she said, you can take the rest of this and fill it with just stuff from magazines, stuff that you see, stuff you want to write down. Because she said journaling never really worked for her. Just a stream of consciousness writing never really resonated with her. And when she started doing this, it was easy and she got results from it. So some of the things that she put in there started manifesting because of her attention to it, which is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping that going.
I thought it was cool. I enjoyed that very much. And then we had breakout sessions, and we didn't coordinate this ahead of time. I don't know. I think I may have been. Liz, did you go? Which one did you go to? But you weren't there.
I wasn't there on Sunday. We had to drive back to Tennessee because of our
I
childcare.
think I'm the only one that went to the Jean Sweeney one. Did any of you guys go to that one?
I didn't, and this was a good lesson in sticking to my gut, because I think I knew I should have gone to that one, but I was like, I stayed for the other one, which was also still really great.
She said a couple things. Well, I'll let you guys go into the Emily Hemmingson one, then I'll come back and give my highlights from Jean. So Emily Hemmingson did self-care habits, because most of us don't take very much time to take care of ourselves. So were there any highlights from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just it was a lot of like, and she kept saying this herself, is like, this is not life-changing stuff. This is the basic stuff that you guys probably aren't doing, but you need to check in and make sure that you're doing. So it was things like drink more water, here I am, implementing. It was things like eating a balanced breakfast, getting some movement in, connecting with nature, which her things were connecting with nature was actually really basic, which I liked. It was like, make sure you have a plant, open your windows, like, little stuff like you think of connecting with nature, of like going for a hike, or it was all stuff that was very applicable, which I really liked. And then I don't remember what the last one was, and I don't have my notes in front of me.
That's okay. Elizabeth, did you have anything to add, or should I?
No, it was good. She made us come up with our own answers, which I appreciated. It wasn't just a lecture of, why aren't you drinking more water? It was very open-minded, and her approach was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I think one of the ahas that somebody shared that I thought was interesting was at the beginning of the session, you guys had to share with a partner what you're already doing for self-care. Yeah. And then the silence was deafening. I thought that was a good wake-up call to everybody to take, that's time to step up and take care of ourselves. So Jean Sweeney in the Living in the Moment shared, one of the things she shared with us was 12 signs of spiritual awakening. The one that I really liked on there was, you have to have a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of others. I think so many times, like, we create our own stories around things that really aren't there, and we don't need to do that. And then the other, she gave us a strategy to be responsive instead of reactive, which was the acronym STOP. So S is for stop, T, take a breath, O, observe, what am I feeling and thinking, and P, proceed with compassion. I thought that was really good, just a really practical, useful thing. So back to, let's see, what do we want to do to wrap up? So I think that was everything on Sunday, right? Did I miss anything?
Yep.
Okay. So overall, what was the last question I wanted to ask you guys?
Anything else that we wanted to share?
Yeah, anything else you want to share? What else do you want to share?
Number 5 from our breakout session was actually set aside a sacred hour.
Yes.
And that would have been my final thing to share as well, is away from technology, no work, and it is make your self-care habitual.
Yeah, I like that idea of making self-care habitual. Like, we're systems people. So are we systematizing our healthcare? I mean, our self-care.
Which is also healthcare.
That too.
I think one of the biggest takeaways that was, and I believe it was Adelina that said this, yes, my story didn't start with a podium, but that's how you know me. And I think that that's just something like, I want to get that like printed and like matted and put everywhere, because just how you know anybody, my story didn't start with me sitting in this office. That's just how you know me. Like, it just kind of to make me aware of, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, or how they got where they are, or, and just being able to have conversations with people and communicating with people is just important to get to know people, So I really liked that quote that she said.
Yeah, she was full of them. Anyone else have
You should write a book.
Want to add? She's not full of it. She was full of them.
I actually was going to say my last thing to add was from Adelina as well, which is that she said to bounce back higher, like your vision has to be kind of bigger than ever. And I really think that that was so incredible. That has really stuck with me as I've come back to kind of implement, which is, it's stuck through like implement more than I think that I can, and implemented it to a degree that I think that I can, and kind of implement bounce back higher with even more gratitude and even all of that kind of stuff. So I think that that was probably my most impactful. And I think lastly, I just have to say thank you so much to everybody who sponsored somebody. I think that this was an incredible experience that I knew I needed, but I didn't know I needed as badly as I did coming back. So
thank you to Adelina Rotar. Thank you to Crystal Foster. And we sponsored one person. And then we already have a sponsor for next year. Amanda Dahl stood up at the retreat and said it blew her away so much. I talked to her actually on the phone today. And Amanda, if you're watching, we love you so much. I will get teary-eyed that she was so inspired by what generosity is contagious, right? When one person does something, it just spreads like wildfire. So we already have a sponsor for a scholarship for someone to attend next year. I was really blown away by that as well. Elizabeth, did you have any last words that you wanted to add?
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
My suggestion is that for those of you in this group that didn't attend the retreat, my suggestion is to make your own, that you connect with someone local to you, because I believe a face-to-face conversation is so valuable. Go find someone in the in the next company, in their office next to yours, and take them to lunch. Go across town to the office, way across town, and meet one of their ops people and take them to lunch. Maybe you meet in a center, at someplace central, and have these types of conversations, because until you get outside of what you already know, you never know what the possibilities are. And to see how other people in other areas, even if it is just across town, are doing things, it will so open your mind. And even if you do nothing, if you implement nothing from what that person said, I guarantee it will give you ideas for how you can better the business and better yourself. And just to make a connection with someone else who's like-minded is so incredibly freeing, because it allows you to be you. A lot of the events that we attend, especially I know in my office, are agent-oriented, and so they're loud, everybody's talking. And yet when you connect with people who are of the same temperament as yourself, and you are free to be yourself, and you walk into that lunch meeting, you just know you're going to have a connection that, even if it's just for that moment, is very uplifting.
I love that. I was actually had a great question on my coaching call right before this from Abby Pecroni, who was there from Atlanta. And she was like, how do I keep up the momentum? So I said, well, I will ask the people on the call, then we're going to wrap up soon because it's 3 after 3 and I'm conscious. If you guys need to hang up, hang up. But how would you answer that question? How do I keep up the momentum if I was at the weekend?
Stay connected.
What'd you say?
Stay connected.
Yeah. So how do they stay connected?
Through the Be a Boss Facebook group. Reach out to, I'm going to speak for all of us on this, but correct me if I'm wrong. Reach out to any one of us on this call today. We would be happy to be your accountability partner. We would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Just stay connected in the Be a Boss Facebook group. Get an accountability partner that can kind of hold you to your stuff, and just go back to your notes, rewatch this call. Just remember what your feeling is.
That's what I was gonna say. Go back to your notes, maybe
present in that moment
on a daily basis or weekly basis. Every Monday, pull your notes out or highlight the things that were most important to you, and pick your one thing and focus on that, and then pick your next one thing, and then your next one thing. Depending on how long that takes you, but find what really you were most inspired from the weekend and just go for it. Like, work on it, and again, like she said, find an accountability, find someone else that's working on that same thing and, you know, pair up. And
Love that.
so.
Jerica, how many items did you, tell me about your spreadsheet you did. We're going to close with that, I think.
And I'll post it in the group too, but here's the printed version of my top 68 takeaways that I planned.
And what else is on the spreadsheet?
I kind of listed my AHA. I listed a goal for like, what's my goal for implementing that AHA? What's my next action step? And then my deadline. And then I have a column for if I've completed it or not. So I've kind of scheduled pretty much through the end of 2020 how I'm going to implement. I've also planned all of our team agendas for the rest of the year as well. So like, what are our big topics of like, you know, we really need to get some more clarity on our vision and our values and all that kind of stuff, our big whys. And so I've kind of planned those out and kind of methodically in our agendas for the rest of the year.
That's mind blowing. That's just like the best ever. I'm going to challenge you guys to also share your ahas in the group. I've seen a few already what's been really awesome. So sharing ahas, and then let us hold you accountable. So if you want to post what you're going to be doing, your action steps, and when you complete them, we want to celebrate with you and high five you. I also want to share that I can't remember if the newsletter came out yesterday or not, but the newsletter I think came out yesterday. Yeah. We're going to be doing a 66-day challenge here at OpsBoss that starts October 27th, which I think is this weekend. That is 66 days before January 1st. So I'm going to challenge you guys to join us with that. It can be anything. It can be getting up at 5 o'clock. If your name is Abigail Pecoroni, she's one of my coaching clients that wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Or it could be drinking water, or it could be accomplishing a system, whatever it is that you're going to do for the next 66 days. And I want you to post on your regular Facebook page and in the group, hashtag 66DayOpsBoss, so that we can support you and encourage you and high five you. And I would also encourage you guys to go to the Facebook group, go to my Facebook page and the other EA group where we have the group photo posted, and tag yourself in the photo, and then in the comments, tag any other ops bosses that you think should join us next year. I am literally getting daily messages from people saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about this event and I would have sent my ops boss. So I need you guys to help me get the word out for next year. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for our scholarship winners. Thank you for our scholarship donors. Thank you for our sponsors. And I think that's a wrap. And we'll post here. We try to do these Coffee with Christy Crew once a month. So I'll be asking you guys for topics of what you want next. And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.